Let's get started. Nathan Brooks pulled the hood of his worn-out sweater a little lower over his forehead, adjusting the way it draped over his face. He took a deep breath as he stepped out of his car, parked a few blocks away from the luxury boutique. This wasn't just any store. It was his store. Or at least it was part of the empire he had built from the ground up. Today, however, he was not the CEO of Brooks Luxe. He was just another customer, one that the employees would likely overlook. The reports he had received from multiple sources had all pointed to the same problem, a decline in customer service. Certain employees had grown complacent, treating customers based on appearances rather than with the high standard of excellence his brand was known for. Nathan wasn't the type of leader to make hasty decisions based on second-hand information. He needed to see it for himself. Dressed in faded jeans, scuffed sneakers, and a plain hoodie, Nathan walked through the entrance of the store. The rich scent of Italian leather and high-end colognes filled the air, blending with the faint hum of classical music playing in the background. The boutique was a temple of refinement, sleek glass shelves displaying polished designer shoes, handbags, and accessories under soft golden lighting. It was the kind of place where people walked in with crisp suits and designer dresses, expecting to be treated with the utmost reverence. Nathan's eyes moved across the store, scanning the employees. He spotted a tall young man standing near the footwear section, scrolling through his phone. His name tag read Liam. Nathan made his way toward him, pausing beside a display of limited edition leather loafers. "Excuse me," Nathan said, his voice even but polite. "Could you help me with these? I'm looking for a size 10. Liam barely glanced up from his phone. "Those are expensive," he muttered, his tone indifferent. He finally lifted his gaze, giving Nathan a quick once-over. His lips curled slightly. "You sure you're looking for those?" Nathan suppressed a smirk. He had expected this kind of response, yet experiencing it firsthand left a bitter taste in his mouth. He nodded. "Yeah, could you check if you have my size?" Liam let out a slow, exaggerated sigh and set his phone down on the counter with the reluctance of a man being forced into hard labor. He disappeared into the stockroom without another word. Nathan stood there, waiting, but instead of returning promptly, Liam took his time. Nathan could see him through the slightly ajar stockroom door, casually chatting with another employee, both chuckling about something, presumably him. "Guy in the hoodie wants the loafers? Bet he can't even afford the laces," Liam scoffed. Nathan clenched his jaw but forced himself to remain composed. He had built his company on integrity and respect, and right now he was witnessing firsthand how easily that foundation could be undermined. After several long minutes, Liam emerged empty-handed. "Yeah, we're out of size 10, he said flatly. Nathan raised an eyebrow. "Are you sure? Could you check again?" Liam rolled his eyes. "Look, man, I know what we have in stock. Maybe try something cheaper." His smirk was subtle but unmistakable. Before Nathan could respond, the sound of soft laughter and warm conversation caught his attention. At the cashier counter, a young woman with chestnut brown hair, tied neatly in a ponytail, was engaging with a well-dressed couple. Her name tag read Sophia. She exuded professionalism and warmth, her smile genuine as she assisted the customers with their purchase. "Of course, Mr. Calloway," she said, her tone smooth and courteous. "I'll have this wrapped up for you right away. If you'd like, I can arrange to have it delivered directly to your residence." The contrast was stark. While Liam exuded disinterest and condescension, Sophia embodied the very essence of what Brooks Luxe stood for, excellence and customer-first service. Nathan turned back to Liam. "All right," he said, feigning resignation. "Maybe I'll look at something else." As he walked away from the footwear section, he felt Liam's eyes on his back, no doubt already dismissing him as another unimportant customer. But Nathan wasn't leaving. He was just getting started. Nathan wandered through the store, his footsteps light against the polished marble floor, but his mind weighed heavily with frustration. Every detail of the experience so far confirmed his suspicions. There were cracks in the foundation of his company's culture, and those cracks were spreading. He paused near the accessories section, pretending to browse wallets while discreetly observing the employees around him. Most of them seemed indifferent, absorbed in idle chatter or their phones. None approached him to offer assistance. He wasn't expecting special treatment, but basic professionalism was a standard that should apply to everyone, regardless of how they looked. As he shifted to inspect a leather belt, Nathan overheard hushed voices coming from just a few feet away. His ears perked up at the mention of his own encounter. "Did you see that guy talking to Liam?" A low, mocking voice. Another employee, a tall man with slicked back hair, spoke in a hushed tone but with unmistakable disdain. "Looks like he walked straight out of a thrift store." Liam's familiar chuckle followed. "Yeah, man, he asked for those loafers. Like, seriously? I mean, I could tell just by looking at him he's wasting time. Probably just here to get warm air conditioning or snap a few pics for Instagram." The casual cruelty in their voices burned hotter than any angry outburst could have. Nathan's hands clenched the belt a little too tightly, his knuckles whitening under the strain. What stung wasn't the insult to his appearance. He had intentionally dressed down for this exact reason, but the realization that this might not be an isolated incident. If Liam and his colleagues spoke this way so comfortably, how many real customers had they dismissed or ridiculed in similar fashion? Nathan took a deep breath, steadying himself. He couldn't blow his cover, not yet. Determined, he made his way to the cashier counter. Sophia was still there, finishing up the purchase for the affluent couple from earlier. Her professionalism was impeccable, every gesture and word carefully measured, yet genuinely warm. When it was finally his turn, Nathan placed a modest-looking wallet on the counter. Sophia glanced up and smiled, and unlike Liam's forced smirk, hers was sincere. "Good afternoon. Sir, I hope you found everything you were looking for?" she asked warmly. Nathan nodded, matching her friendly demeanor. "Yeah, I think this will do. Thanks for your help." Sophia began ringing up the purchase, treating him with the same respect and attentiveness she had offered the high-profile clients before him. Not a hint of judgment in her gaze. No sign of the disdain that had laced Liam's voice. "Would you like me to gift wrap it for you?" she offered. "That won't be necessary, but I appreciate it," Nathan replied, smiling. In that moment, his decision was made. The problem wasn't systemic, not yet. There were good employees here like Sophia, who upheld the brand's values. But bad apples like Liam threatened to spoil the entire culture of the store if left unchecked. After completing the purchase, Nathan headed toward the manager's office. The door was slightly ajar, and he knocked firmly before stepping in. Ethan Cole, the store manager, looked up from his desk, his sharp suit a testament to the brand's high standards. His neatly styled hair and polished demeanor suggested someone who took his job seriously, at least on the surface. "Can I help you?" Ethan asked, his tone polite but laced with the kind of practiced distance reserved for handling customer complaints. Nathan closed the door behind him and pulled back his hood, revealing his face. The transformation was immediate. Ethan's eyes widened, his posture stiffened, and his voice dropped in tone. "Mr. Brooks," he stammered, clearly blindsided. "Yes, Ethan. We need to talk," Nathan said, his voice low but commanding. Ethan swallowed hard. "Of course. What's the issue?" "The issue," Nathan began, his voice steady but tinged with disappointment, "is your staff. I came here undercover today because I received multiple complaints about how customers were being treated in this store. I hope those reports were exaggerated. Unfortunately, what I witnessed today confirmed every single one of those concerns." Ethan's face paled. I wasn't aware there was a serious problem, sir." "That's the problem, Ethan," Nathan cut in, his tone sharp. "You should have been aware. I was ignored, belittled, and outright mocked by two of your employees, Liam being the most obvious offender. If they can treat someone like me, in disguise, this poorly, imagine how they're treating actual customers who don't fit the profile of a high spender." Ethan nodded quickly, his voice shaky. "I'll handle it immediately." "No, this isn't something you handle quietly," Nathan interrupted, his frustration simmering just beneath the surface. "I want a meeting scheduled with every employee immediately. I'll be addressing the staff personally." Without giving Ethan a chance to object, Nathan turned and left the office, his mind already racing through what needed to be said. This wasn't just about punishing Liam. It was about sending a message, loud and clear, that the culture of Brooks Lux was built on respect, not judgment based on appearance. Within 30 minutes, the staff had gathered in the employee lounge. The air was thick with tension. Liam shifted uncomfortably near the back, likely sensing something was wrong. Nathan stood at the front of the room, arms crossed, his piercing gaze sweeping over every face in the room. "I came here today not as your CEO, but as a customer," Nathan began, his voice cutting through the silence like a blade. "And what I experienced was unacceptable. Some of you treated me, based on my appearance alone, as if I didn't deserve the basic courtesy every customer should receive." His eyes locked onto Liam, who immediately looked away. "This is not just about one or two employees. It's about the culture we foster here," Nathan continued. "From now on, every single one of you will undergo customer service retraining. Discrimination of any kind, whether it's based on appearance, assumptions about wealth, or anything else, will not be tolerated. If anyone thinks they're too good for this standard, you're welcome to leave now." No one moved. Silence stretched heavy in the air. And to those who did their jobs correctly, Sophia, for example, know that your professionalism doesn't go unnoticed. You are the standard this brand was built on. Sophia's eyes widened in surprise, her cheeks tinged with a light blush as she realized she was being praised directly by the CEO himself. Nathan's voice softened but remained firm. "We can't build a successful company without respect, for our customers and for each other. I expect better, and from today forward, I will be watching." With that, he left the room, leaving the weight of his words lingering in the stunned silence behind him. The room remained heavy with silence long after Nathan had left. The employees, once confident in their complacency, now sat rigid with the gravity of his words. Liam's face had drained of all color, his earlier smugness replaced with an unmistakable sense of dread. Sophia, on the other hand, sat quietly near the front, her cheeks still warm from Nathan's unexpected praise. She had done nothing extraordinary in her eyes, only her job, but the validation from the CEO himself made her feel proud in a way that no customer service award ever had. Meanwhile, Nathan retreated to Ethan's office, his frustration replaced by a deep, lingering disappointment. It wasn't anger that drove him. It was the fear that the culture he had worked so hard to instill was eroding beneath him. Ethan followed him inside, closing the door gently behind them. His voice was low and apologetic. "Mr. Brooks, I had no idea things had gotten this bad. If I had, you would have done something sooner," Nathan finished for him, turning to face the manager with a sharp, unwavering gaze. "That's the problem. Ethan, you should have known. It's your job to know. You're responsible for the culture in this store, and from what I've seen today, you've let it slip through your fingers." Ethan swallowed hard, the weight of his failure sinking in. "I'll make it right, sir. I'll oversee the retraining myself. And—" "No," Nathan interrupted. His tone wasn't harsh, but it left no room for argument. "I'll be implementing a company-wide program, one that goes beyond basic retraining. Every employee in every branch will undergo comprehensive workshops on customer service, empathy, and inclusion. And I expect you to lead by example, Ethan. That means you'll be the first to complete it." Ethan nodded quickly, relief washing over his face that he still had a chance to make amends. "Understood, Mr. Brooks." Nathan allowed a small sigh to escape, pinching the bridge of his nose as he considered the bigger picture. This isn't just about disciplining bad behavior. It's about rebuilding the culture from the ground up. Every customer who walks into this store, whether they're wearing designer suits or a hoodie, deserves the same respect. If we lose that, we lose everything that makes this brand worth something. The next day, Nathan returned to the store, this time dressed in his usual sharp suit, the embodiment of authority and success. A meeting had been scheduled with the entire staff, and the atmosphere was thick with tension as employees gathered once again in the lounge. This time, Nathan didn't speak immediately. He let the silence linger, allowing the weight of their actions and inactions to settle on their shoulders. "Yesterday was a wake-up call for all of us," Nathan began, his voice calm but firm. "Some of you may have believed that judging customers by their appearance is harmless. Maybe you thought that those who didn't look wealthy weren't worth your time. But let me be clear, that mindset ends now." His gaze swept the room, landing briefly on Liam, whose head was bowed low, unable to meet Nathan's eyes. "Respect isn't reserved for those who look like they can afford our products. It's the foundation of this company. Something I built with the belief that luxury isn't just about the items we sell, but the experience we offer every person who walks through our doors." There was a pause, And then Nathan shifted his focus to Sophia, who sat quietly, her hands folded in her lap. Sophia, please stand. Sophia blinked, surprised by the request, but rose to her feet with quiet dignity. This is what professionalism looks like, Nathan continued. In every interaction, you upheld the values of this company without knowing who I was, without expecting recognition. You treated me, a stranger in worn clothes, with the same respect you gave to our wealthiest clients. Sophia's cheeks flushed again, but this time pride shone in her eyes. As a token of appreciation for your dedication, I'm promoting you to assistant manager, effective immediately. A collective murmur rippled through the room, and Sophia's eyes widened in disbelief. Thank you, sir. I don't know what to say. Just keep doing your job the way you've been doing it, Nathan said with a small, genuine smile. The moment was a stark contrast to the uncomfortable tension that had dominated the room just moments earlier. The other employees sat a little straighter, realizing that genuine effort and professionalism didn't go unnoticed after all. Turning back to the group, Nathan's voice grew serious once more. As for those of you who fell short of expectations, this is your chance to change. Everyone here will undergo retraining. You'll learn not just how to sell luxury items, but how to embody the values this brand was founded upon: respect, inclusivity, and integrity. His eyes found Liam, who was now visibly sweating. If you can't meet those standards, you won't have a place in this company. Liam swallowed hard and nodded, mumbling, "Yes, sir." In the weeks that followed, Nathan kept his promise. He visited stores across the country unannounced, making sure every branch understood that the message wasn't just for one store, it was for the entire organization. The retraining program rolled out in full force, focusing on empathy, unconscious bias, and customer service excellence. Sophia thrived in her new role, proving to be a natural leader who helped reshape the store's culture from within. Under her influence, even employees like Liam showed signs of improvement, their previous arrogance replaced with genuine professionalism. But Nathan wasn't finished. Months later, he returned to the Los Angeles store, once again dressed in plain clothes, blending into the crowd of customers. This time, the experience was different. Every employee, whether they recognized him or not, greeted him with a smile, offered assistance, and treated him with respect. He approached the footwear section, where Liam, now noticeably more professional, stood ready to assist. "Can I help you find something today, sir?" Liam asked, his tone polite and genuinely attentive. Nathan gave a small smile, nodding in approval. "Just browsing for now. Thank you." As he left the store that day, Nathan felt something he hadn't in a long time: pride. Not in the brand, the luxury products, or the success of his business, but in the people who made it possible. He knew there would always be challenges, but as long as respect remained at the heart of Brooks Luxe, his company would continue to stand for something far more valuable than wealth. After all, every person, CEO or customer, deserved to be treated with dignity, and now his company finally reflected that truth. And so, this story reminds us that true respect isn't measured by appearances or wealth. It's about how we treat every person, no matter who they are. Nathan's journey wasn't just about fixing a store's customer service. It was about rebuilding a culture of fairness, empathy, and integrity from the ground up. If this story resonated with you or made you think differently about everyday interactions, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more meaningful stories like this one. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below. Have you ever experienced or witnessed a moment where true respect made all the difference? Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next story.